bitch, go bestie. Can't fuck with these hoes cause they messy. Go bitch, go bestie. Can't fuck with these hoes cause they messy. Go bestie.
What's up, besties? Back at it again with another video and a new hair color for y'all, okay? Today's video is gonna be a continuation of my soul surgery series, I Have Daddy Issues. If you have not watched my first video, I highly recommend that you go back and watch that so you can be up to par with what we're going to talk about today. It's taken me a couple days to continue to film this because I really had to come to terms with everything. Even after my first video, I got a lot of encouraging words. People are like, oh my God, we went through the same thing. I totally understand you. You're brave, you're helping me. So that is greatly appreciated because ultimately that was my goal. I want you guys to understand that you're not alone. I want you guys to know that you can talk to me and that regardless of what it looks like, I've gone through some shit too, okay? So yeah, today's going to be a continuation of I Have Daddy Issues. Like I said, if you haven't watched my first video, go back and watch my first video. I believe I left off with where me and my dad started to clash. So that's what today's video is going to be about. We're going to talk about how everything went left with me and my dad. My first video, I got a lot of encouraging words, but I also got some backlash. There was definitely some people who had some things to say. Once again, this is my story. You can't tell me what I did and didn't go through and what I should and shouldn't share. So I'm going to continue on. Like I said, I'm not going to lose the courage. I'm not going to succumb to what people want me to and shut up because that's what people want me to do. I've shut up long enough and it is time to tell this story because I can help someone. So yeah, I left off with my dad getting ready to have a baby with Homewrecker. And where I became really angry and just upset with the whole thing. So we're going to fast forward to what goes on after the baby. So they end up having the baby and my dad, like I said, has already clocked out of our relationship. He is no longer there. He's no longer loving, just the man that I've known him to be and who I wanted to be around. So fast forward, they have the baby. My dad spent a lot more time with the baby and kind of brushing me and my sister off to the side. We're in school, so we would come home from school. We'd see him. It got to the point where we stopped speaking. We wouldn't speak to her, and she used to kind of reinforce that we need to speak to her when we see her and that we need to call her mom. Just all types of stuff. They end up taking like family trips. Whether it be to dinner, whether it be to a movie, they would take their daughter and leave me and my sister at home. So as you can imagine, we were upset because it's like, you're our dad. This is what we did together. And now it's like there's a baby in the equation, there's a new woman in the equation, and now you're just kind of brushing us off to the side as if like we haven't been here through this whole journey with you, through the multiple women you've been with, through your ups and downs. Like, we've been here. And now that there's a new addition, you just kind of forgot where you came from type spiel, right? So I'm getting older, I've got these emotions, and my dad had this thing where what goes on in this house stays in this house. I now, as a woman and an adult and a mom to be, totally disagree with that. I don't believe in that whole what goes on in this house stays in this house because it's a lot that goes on in the house that someone needs to be told, right? So yeah, my dad and them are taking these trips. My sister and I are feeling some type of way. We're acting out because it's like, we can't get your attention any other way, right? So my dad and I always felt like I reminded my dad of my mom. If you take a picture of my mom and my dad, like, I look exactly like both of them depending on which parent I'm with, but I definitely, as far as my attitude, my mouth, how I look, it's my mom all the way, right? So growing up, I felt like my dad always treated me differently because I looked so much like my mom. And with that being the case and them not necessarily ending on the best terms, my dad, I fucking hate you. With them ending on the worst terms possible and me reminding him of her every day it formed like a hatred in his heart for me. He's always treated me differently than my sister, and every time I would do something that he didn't like, something he wasn't fond of, his favorite go-to was, "You remind me a lot of someone I used to know." I'm not dumb. I know who you're talking about. You're talking about my mom. So my dad would do certain things and let his wife do certain things that I voiced my opinion on at 11, 12 years old. Like, I don't like her. I hate her. Where's my mom? Like, I would bring that up. I want to go live with my mom. Just all types of stuff. And it used to just make him so angry and irate. I mean, he'd always hit me with, "You remind me a lot of someone that I used to know." Now, mind you, in my previous video, I told you that my dad and Sasha often got into disagreements about how my dad chastised myself and my sister. When I think of a child acting out, I don't believe that the best way to chastise and or get a child to be receptive to a message you're sending is to put your hands on them. I firmly believe in discipline. Do not get me wrong. I do believe in, I'm gonna pop your hands, I'm gonna spank your butt, like all of that. But it wasn't like that. My dad is a 6'4" giant, okay? Really buff diesel guy. I'm 5'7" and some change. So at the time of me being like 10 or 11, I'm a lot smaller. I'm a lot, you know, I can't hurt him. So when it came to us acting out and us being disciplined, I would call it cruel and unusual punishment. He would at times make us get bare from head down, and he'd whoop us. He'd lock our head between his legs, and he'd have a leather belt, actually his work belt, and he used to lock our head between his legs, and he used to spank us, or he used to make us get fully unclothed, or just from waist down clothed, and we'd have to bend over and hold our ankles while he whipped us. And if we flinched, if we screamed, he would go more. It was gonna last longer. It was crazy. So I'm rebelling at this point, because it's like, you're being mean. You're being mean. You're being cruel to us, your kids. Like, how can you? And like, he let her say certain stuff about our mom in front of us, like very like hurtful stuff, like, "Mom didn't want you, I'm your mom now, where's your mom at now?" Just all types of stuff. "Your mom was a hoe." Like, she just had a whole lot of stuff to say about our mom. And for me, it was like, regardless of me knowing her or not, and or hearing her side of the story or not, that's my mom. No matter what my feelings are towards her in regards to leaving me, like, that's still my mom. So it definitely hurt my feelings when like he would allow her to say stuff like that and not bag us up. Like, we would look at him like, "Yo, you're just gonna let her talk about our mom like that?" And like, he'd do nothing. He just sit on the couch. He don't want to do nothing. He don't want to have nothing to do with it. Summertime rolls around. We end up being home with her a lot. Of course, there's a lot of bumping heads because, like I said, we don't like her. She gets to the point where she starts telling my dad certain stuff that we would do throughout the day that she didn't agree with, and my dad needed to put his foot down. So at this point, my dad is pretty much her puppet. Anything she says goes. So aside from the punishment our dad would give us, it kind of got worse with her in his ear. I'll never forget one time, I don't even remember what I did wrong, but the punishment for it was just like crazy. This is literally the furthest my dad's ever taken it. My little sister was there. We were all supposed to have a family movie night, and we we're all gonna go out. However, I guess she reported to my dad something that I did that she didn't like, and that I didn't deserve to go to the movies. And I'm assuming I said something back really, really smart. And at our house, we had a basement, but it wasn't really a basement. It was like a cellar. It's like if we were to ever have a tornado, we would go underneath into the cellar type thing. So it was a cellar. It's dark, it's moist, it's concrete. There's pipes down there, there's spiders down there, everything. And my dad knew I was absolutely terrified of the basement. Like, I would not go down there. So yeah, I said something or did something she didn't like. She reported to my dad. I must have said something back, very argumentative. And my dad, I'll never forget it. First of all, whatever I said, it made my dad pull my lips. Like, that was his thing. Like, when we said something out of order that he didn't like, he would take my lips like this, literally take my lips, and he'd pinch them and he'd pull them. And I was just kind of like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck kind of shit is it? So yeah, he did that. and I was crying, and he was just pretty much like, you got a smart mouth, so like this is what you get for having a smart mouth. You don't talk to me like that, you don't talk to her like that. That's my wife, I'm your dad. So he grabs a black garbage bag and he puts me in it, and he puts me in the basement. That for me was like, what the fuck? I'm crying, I'm screaming for all of like 30 minutes. They pretend to leave the house. Whole time he's upstairs listening to me like cry. So eventually he comes back downstairs. He gets me out the bag and he doesn't say anything to me, and I just end up going to bed. The next day I wake up for school. I'm still angry about last night. I'm just sitting there like, yo, who is this guy? Like, that though was just like too much. Like, what, who in their right mind do that to their kids? So the next day I wake up and his wife is just kind of like, haha, like that's what you get. It's gonna continue because, you know, like what I say go pretty much. Next day I get ready for school. I don't have too much to say to my dad. I'm still really angry. It's just becoming too much. So as you can imagine, it gets worse because I get older. I'm starting to develop, start looking more like my mom, all types of stuff. So my dad continues to chastise and mistreat us, to the point like he's punched me in my chest. You know, his wife has made us eat soap because we would say something she didn't like. I'm angry. I'm not feeling loved. My sister's not feeling loved. It's just way too much. So we end up running away to our grandmother, telling my grandmother everything that's going on. Eventually, my dad finds us. He picks us up from grandma's house and he cuts off all contact with grandma. We can no longer talk to grandma. We can no longer see grandma. We can't see our aunts, our cousins, nothing. So at this point, when I talked to my grandma was upset. My grandma knew of Homewrecker back when they were in high school and just kind of was never really messing with her vibe and her energy. So yeah, my dad ends up picking us up from grandma. Probably 3 weeks after that, my dad ends up moving us into the country. Now we're looking at being about 30 to 40 minutes away from everything we've ever known, as far as family, as far as help. Thinking this is gonna be a great move, a fresh start, new school. This is gonna be great. This is gonna be awesome. Like there's gonna be some change, right? There was change, but not the change that I was expecting. This house by far, I hate this house. I don't like to think of this house. This house holds some of the darkest memories for me. So we moved to this new house in the country. We're thinking it's gonna be lavish and big. No, it's like one of the houses off a scary movie scene. We're surrounded by cornfields. It's this ugly yellow color, long driveways. Houses are far apart. Like you can't hear anything. Like it's definitely not what I was used to. Starting new school, we're thinking stuff's gonna get better. No, stuff actually gets worse. Start this new school. My dad had this thing where he didn't like me wearing clothes my size. I always wore clothes to school that was like 2-3 times too big for me. Pants, shirts, whatever, right? So I was going to school, I was being bullied, I was being teased, you know, I was, you know, the church girl, I was a weird looking girl, like I didn't look like other kids. Stuff just gets worse, relationships get worse, my dad gets worse. He's gone from time to time. He's in a bowling league, so Tuesday nights was his night to be gone. We would be at home with her. I'd lock myself in my room because I don't have anything to say to you. I don't like you, you're weird, like. And she's just really mean. And her mom used to be over all the time. Her mom is wicked as hell too. And like, it was always like, you guys aren't a part of this family. It's just me, your dad, and my daughter now. So it's like, you guys are the black sheep type thing. So at this point, we end up taking some event. I don't remember what happened, but we get in the car and I'm not speaking to his wife. And my dad's like, that's your mom. That's my wife. You're going to respect her. And she said something to me and I didn't respond back. And my dad was like, you hear her talking to you? And my sister's on the left side of me. So she's sitting behind my dad and I'm sitting behind his wife in the truck. And my dad's like, don't you hear her talking to you? And I didn't say nothing. Because this morning, like she was so cruel. And like, the best thing for me to do was to say nothing at all because I had nothing nice to say. So he's like, you hear her talking to you? And I didn't say nothing. And he turns around and looks at me. He's like, do you hear me talking to you? That's your mom. That's my wife. You're gonna be respectful. And I still didn't say nothing. And he kept talking about like how she was my mom. And I finally was like, that's not my mom. And he whips around to like grab me. And I slide on the other side of the truck next to my sister. And that made him mad because he missed me. He went to grab me and missed. And so he gets angry. He's fumbling with his seatbelt. And he's you gonna run, you gonna pull away from me. And he gets out the car and he walks around to my side of the truck, and he opens the door and he pulls me out, and he's like, you hear me talking to you? You answer me when I'm talking to you. And I told him, like, you're not gonna put your hands on me like you put your hands on my mom. And that just sent him up a wall. And he's like, I've never touched your mom. He got me by my neck, pinned up against the wall, pinned up against the truck, and I hit him in his face. Like, I got him a couple good times in his face. So at this point, he's like, we're fighting. At this point, me and him going back and forth, we're both throwing him. Everyone in the church parking lot is like, Deacon Jesse, mind you, my dad's a deacon. Okay, he's preaching, I'm holier than thou. But we're outside of church and everyone's like, Deacon Jesse, get your hands off of her. What are you doing? Get your hands off of her. She's little. So at some point he ends up slipping on ice because it's winter time around this time. He done hurt himself. Everyone is like running to my rescue. Like, are you okay? And I'm like, y'all want to run away? I'm going to my grandma's house. I can't do this no more. Like, I can't. You guys, he puts on this image for you guys at church, but he's a totally different man at home. I can't do this. Like, I can't do it. So he's angry at me. He's not speaking to me, nothing. The fighting gets worse, to the point where me and his wife are going at it, all types of stuff. So as punishment, they start hiding food in their room and locking it up. One day I went to school. I got into a fight with his wife the night before, and him went to school, and I had bruises on my body, and I talked to my guidance counselor. And my guidance counselor had CPS come to the house. So CPS comes out to the house, and my guidance counselor always says, oh, we'll never let them know that CPS is coming, they just come. Well, that was clearly a lie, because the day CPS was supposed to come, we came home, the refrigerator was stocked with food, the cabinets were stocked with food, I had a wood bed, I had clothes, I had shoes, just all types of stuff, right? So yeah, that happens, and CPS is kind of like, I don't really know if they're telling the truth or not, because this is what they said, but this is what we seen when we went, right? So after CPS leaves, they clean the fridge out, they clean the cabinets out, they lock everything back up in their room. I've got 3 outfits still in rotation for school, just everything. So I get smart and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do what I know I'm not supposed to do, but I need to do. So my friend gave me an iPod to record everything that goes on in the house, because no one was believing us at school. I go home, I record the food not being in the fridge, the food not being in the cabinets, what my room looks like, everything. I don't know what got into them, but they ended up getting into a routine of every time we get up for school and leave, they would pat us down and check us to see if we had anything. And this one morning in particular, I had the iPod on me. She pat me down, she found it, and I ended up getting in trouble for that too. So there's my evidence of what's really going on when CPS is not around. It's gone. I had another friend give me an iPod to record. I did. Except this time I didn't bring it back to school with me. I stuck it under my bed. When I came home from school and I looked under my bed, it was gone. So his wife went in my room and searched for it and found it and locked it in their room. So I came home, I kicked their door down, and I went and got my iPod. When she came home, she must have went to look where she found it or where she hid it, and it wasn't there. So she came to my room, and I was sleeping on the floor, and she asked for it. She's like, where is it at? And I'm like, where's what at? And she's like, your iPod, where is it at? And I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. And she was like, okay, you know what I'm talking about. So she pulls my pillow, and my iPod's in there, and it falls out. And so she grabs it, and I'm like, yo, give me my iPod back. And she's like, no. And I'm like, yo, it doesn't belong to you. Like, give it back. Like, you're doing too much right now. So I snatch it from her, and she reaches for me, but when she reaches for me, like, she grabs my wrist to grab the iPod, and like I snatched away from her, and it looks like she was ready to like literally attack. So I ended up like shoving her off of me, because she was thick, like she was a fat girl. So yeah, she ends up reaching for me, and she's like throwing me around, and so I got the force, like I kicked her. I pushed and kicked her down the stairs. So she tumbles down the stairs and she tries to take me with her, but I was quick and I got away. She's on the phone with my dad, like, she just kicked me down the stairs. You need to come get her. She's not trying to give me her iPod. I don't even know where she got this from. We didn't buy it for her. She doesn't want to give it back. She broke into our room and got it. At this point, her and I are fighting. She calls the cops. Cop comes and she was like, she broke into our house. She broke into my room. She took something that didn't belong to her. She's not cooperating. Something needs to be done, right? So the cop is just pretty much like, ma'am, she lives here. There's not much I can do. Like, she's a kid. What do you want me to do? And she's like, well, I don't know, but you need to figure it out. I'm in danger of my life. She kicked me down the stairs. And her dad's not here right now, and he agrees with me that something needs to be done with her. She needs to be removed from the household. She's a danger to the household, all types of stuff. So my dad comes home. He's upset. He's going crazy at the mouth too. The next day, I end up going to school with the iPod in my pants, and I show my guidance counselor the video of the cabinets, my room, the refrigerator. I show her the bruises on my body. I'm light skinned, so you hit me, I bruise easily. So I end up showing her like the bruises on my butt, my thighs, like everything. So now she's got record. Now she's like, okay, something's going on. Like, something is going on in that house. So CPS comes back out and they do the same thing again. They restock everything, they fill everything up, and then they take it all away when CPS leaves. Well, there's one day in particular, my dad woke up for work and he left. His wife woke up for work and she left. And me and my sister were at home. And we were hungry. When we'd wake up, it was like literally this little bag. This little bag of oatmeal and green beans and 1 pack of ramen noodles that was supposed to last us for lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So this one day, my sister is really, really hungry, like to the point she's shaking and she's like throwing up and like she's starving. So I kick down their door and I go get my sister some food. They come home later that day. Me and my sister are upstairs in our beds, well, actually on our floors in our room, sleeping. Not necessarily sleeping though, but just waiting for them to get home. So they get home and I can hear her talking to my dad like someone's kicked our door down again. Like, they've kicked the door down. There's been food that's been touched. Like, what do you want to do? So she comes upstairs and she's like, which one of you did it? And I said, I did it. And she was like, so you're being disobedient and still going in our room? I said, my sister was hungry. The little food you left for us did no justice whatsoever. So yes, I kicked it down and fed her because she got sick. So she grabs me by my ear and she brings me down the stairs. And she's telling my dad, like, you need to do something with her. And my dad's like, why'd you do it? And I'm just kind of like, I told you, like, my sister was hungry. If she was sick, she's throwing up. Like, y'all took the phones away, so we don't have a phone to call you when something goes wrong. There's nothing in this house. It really is just like a fucking hellhole. Fucking home wrecker is just going in. But then she starts talking about my mom. She starts talking about how she's tired of me. She can't stand me. She's over me. She's gonna get rid of me. And I'm just looking at my dad. My dad's sitting on the couch watching TV. So I'm just looking at him like, you gonna let her sit here and talk to me like that? Like, you're my dad. I can handle that coming from you, right? So she shoves me into the door. So I shove her back. And she's like, you putting your hands on me now? You putting your hands on me now? And at this point, we're tussling. We're in the living room. She's throwing me into the TV. I threw her into the glass table. I punched her. All types of stuff. So we literally traveled from like the living room into the kitchen, from the kitchen into the wash area, and we're just going ham. I'm punching her. She's punching me. She tries to shove my head into the washer. That didn't work. I don't know what the fuck she's doing with that. But then at one point, I fell and she got on top of me. And she literally was choking me until like I could not breathe. I told her like, I cannot breathe. I cannot breathe. I cannot breathe. And she did not care. She kept going, and I finally got her hand free to smack her. At this point, my dad's in the living room. He's not breaking nothing up. He's just letting it unravel. So I ended up hitting her one good time to the point she got up and was like, oh no, like I can't do this no more. So they end up calling the cops, and the cops come, and they're just like, this is like the 3rd time we've been out here. What's going on? And my dad's like, she needs to be taken away. I can't do this. She just beat up my wife. Not really telling the whole story. It's just I'm being disruptive and I beat up his wife. So the cops ended up taking me to juvenile. I went to juvenile. I was there for like 2 weeks. At this point, I hate my dad. I don't have nothing to say to you because you lied. Like, you lied. You're not telling them what you did. You're not telling them what she did. Like, you're just not telling the story. You're lying. So at this point, I'm in juvenile and they're asking me questions. I told them, I showed my guidance counselor at work, at school, you know, my living situation, what it all looks like. So now the investigation is open because it's like, this is the 3rd time we've been called to this house and this is the 2nd time that CPS has been out here. Like, what's really going on? My guy's really smart. He knows how to maneuver through the system. He knows how to use it to his advantage. A case is open and now the feds are involved. They're looking at the house. They're looking at my dad's background. They're looking at his wife's background. And they're speaking to people at school, all types of stuff. And this is where, so I'm actually gonna stop it here and continue this on into my next video. If you know me personally, you know that I've gone through foster care. Well, this is gonna be the transition from me leaving my dad's custody to entering the foster care system. And this even gets crazier. So yeah, I'm gonna stop it here. Like I said, if you haven't watched my first Daddy Issues video, definitely go back and check that out so you can be up to date and in tune with what we're talking about in this video. I definitely appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys thumbs up this video, like, comment, and subscribe. We are also so close to 1K. So I'm ready for the 1K giveaway. I don't know what I'm gonna give away yet, but I know whoever gets me to 1K will be the winner of this giveaway. So let's keep going. Let's keep subbing. I shall be back with another video. Peace, love, good night.
Go bitch, go bestie. Can't fuck with these hoes cause they messy. Go bitch, go bestie. Can't fuck with these hoes cause they messy. Go bestie.